Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Sydney. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on future book reviews from a shawty that reads. Let's get into it. Alright y'all, so as you can see, the scenery has changed a little bit just because I am in the process of moving, so I thought I would keep it cute and casual and throw it back to old school YouTube days and just sit on the floor and have a conversation with y'all. I did try to curate a little vibe though for y'all, you know, my babies. These are my babies and my other baby. For real. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with y'all my tips and tricks on how to become a better reader. And these tips will apply to you whether you are an active reader or whether you are just getting into it. Because I'm noticing a lot of people say things like I'm too busy, or I haven't created the habit of reading, or I don't know what to read, or I'm gonna go wait in line for a Travis Scott burger at McDonald's instead of pick up a book. So this video is going to change all of that. I'm gonna help y'all out. Okay, I'm really gonna help y'all out with these tips and tricks. Tip number one, I always tell people, please read what you like. Life is too short, honestly, to be doing anything that you don't like to do. So when it comes to reading, please pick something that you would like to read. Not everything has to be intentional reading. And when I say that, I mean not everything has to be a book about business or mindfulness or spiritual growth. All of those are great and lovely and amazing. But if that's not what you're into, then just don't pick it up and read it. Just find another way to take in that information. But just to give you guys an idea, because I have books everywhere, I have A Raisin in the Sun. I have Dracula, which was inspired by Lovecraft Country solely. I don't think I would have picked this book up. I love that show! Anyway, and then I have The Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health. And so all three of these books are completely different, but they all make me feel something when I pick them up. Like when I purchased them or when I read them, I was like, this just makes me feel a little tickled inside. So I always tell people, if you feel that way about a book, then just read it. Don't feel pressured to read something that you don't want to read, and definitely don't feel pressured to like ever finish a book that you don't want to finish. Like that's just, I feel like that's a waste of energy and a waste of time on something that you're not really interested in, right? So that is tip number one. Tip number two, write down words that you are not familiar with. This is not only going to expand your vocabulary immensely, it is also going to make you feel less frustrated if you're reading a book that might not be like quite at your reading level yet. So for example, if you're reading something dense like Dr. Joe Dispenza, like Becoming Supernatural or Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, that is for sure a book where you would want to underline a few of those words as you go through the chapter, go back, Google them, and then write down the definition, or at least read the definition. So then that way you learn something new for the day, and then as you go further through the book, as you see bigger words like that or words that you may not know, now you have a little bit more confidence going into it because it's like, well, I can just look it up, and then you feel good about yourself for the day. Tip number three. This kind of ties into tip number two, but make sure you are annotating in your books. If you don't want to write in your books, then at least get like a little notebook or something. Make it fun. Cute notebook. I have a million. Cute pen. And write down what you're reading. This is definitely going to help you retain the information more as well. I find this more helpful with those intentional reads. So if you are reading something where you're trying to get the most out of it, or you're trying to better yourself or learn something, please take notes. It's like studying, right? So you can either take notes in your notebook, you can take notes in the book. I really like taking notes in the book so I can go back and see what my thoughts were about it at that time, because I also love rereading my books. So I think that helps a lot. I know some people are really against like making like the little dog tag or like the dog ear marks in their books, or even writing in their books. I completely understand. I'm not one of those people. I write all up in my books. So I think that is a really great way to retain the information. And also, if there's just anything that like makes you think of something or laugh or smile, I would recommend keeping note of that as well, just because I feel like it always comes up later in conversation. And I mean that, when I say that, I mean like 99% of the things that I talk about with people come from a book. Literally. Like I'll be talking to someone and be like, oh, I read this in a book, I thought it was really interesting, like what do you think? And then you spark a conversation that way. So I think it you know, annotating and just reading in general, I think it makes you a lot more relatable than you would expect, because I think we all assume, and we know what assuming does, right? So let's not do that. I think we assume that people don't read as much as they actually do, and reading has somehow always like benefited me in some way in a conversation, or definitely in job interviews. If you say that you like to read, people are like, oh my God, what? I just read this. And then you start talking about the books that you read, and it's really fun and it's really cool. So I think that annotating helps with that, just because, you know, you want to remember what you read, especially if you read a ton like me. That's a lot to try to remember, so I would definitely recommend annotating. Tip number 4 is the last tip, and it is a 2-in-1. So it is make reading a habit. It takes about 30 days to form a habit, so I would suggest either reading when you wake up or reading before bed. When I was younger, I really liked reading before bed because I had a hard time sleeping, and I don't think there's anything wrong with using a book as a sleep aid if that's going to help you, because you're still reading and you're still getting in the habit of reading. So depending on the kind of person you are, like I said, I would suggest doing it when you first wake up or before you go to sleep. Also, give yourself a goal, because I think that, especially with these larger novels, you know, you pick up a 500-page book, that might be a little bit intimidating, so just break it down into chapters. So tonight I'm going to read 1 chapter, or if the chapters are long, be like, I'm going to read 10 pages. Literally anything to just get you into the habit of like sitting down and reading something, because now I know a lot of people say that they have a hard time focusing. And I think that's why at the beginning you kind of do have to sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to read this much. And once your mind starts wandering and you really can't get back into it, then just put it down and get back to it the next day. Because if y'all can focus on the TV and what everybody's doing on Instagram, I think you can focus on reading. Okay, so just do a quick recap of our 4 low-key 5 tips on how to become a better reader from a Shawty that reads. We have number 1, read what you like. Number 2, write down words that you're not familiar with. Number 3, annotate, and then annotate one more time. And then number 4, make it a habit. The sub-tip to that is give yourself a goal. 10 pages a night, chapter a night, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. Yay! Thank you guys so much for watching. As usual, thank you so much. And as always, breathe easy.